The latest Southern California quake rattles stadium. Live video. Los Angeles APU. The latest on Southern California's strongest earthquake in 20 years. All times local. An earthquake rattled Dodger Stadium in the fourth inning of the team's game against the San Diego Padres. The quake on Friday night happened when Dodgers second baseman Enrique Hernandez was batting. It didn't appear to, however, it was obvious to viewers of the Sportsnet LA broadcast when the TV picture bounced up and down. The quake registered an initial magnitude of 6.9 to 7.1, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. There was no announcement by the stadium's public address announcer. Some fans in the upper deck appeared to leave their seats and move to a concourse at the top of the stadium. The press box lurched for about 20 seconds. The quake occurred a day after a magnitude 6.4 quake hit in the Mojave Desert, about 150 miles from Los Angeles. Authorities are now reporting injuries and damage from a big earthquake that was felt throughout Southern California and into Las Vegas and even Mexico. The quake that hit at 8:19 p.m. was given a preliminary magnitude of 6.9 to 7.1, but the measurements were being calculated. It followed Thursday's 6.4 magnitude quake that at the time was the largest Southern California quake in 20 years. Both were centered near Kern County. Fire officials reported multiple. An earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 6.9 has jolted Southern California, but there are no immediate reports of damage or injuries. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake hit at 8:19 p.m. Friday and the quake was felt downtown as a rolling motion that seemed to last at least a half minute. It was felt as, if the preliminary magnitude is correct, it would be the largest Southern California quake in 20 years. Seismologists say there have been 1,700 aftershocks in the wake of the strongest earthquake to hit Southern California in 20 years, but the chances of another large trembler are diminishing. A magnitude 5.4 quake at 4:07 a.m. Friday is so. Zachary Ross of the California Institute of Technology says the number of aftershocks might be slightly higher than average. He also says the quake caused some damage to buildings and roads in and around Ridgecrest. However, seismologists say it's unlikely the quake will affect any fault lines away from the immediate area, such as the mighty San Andreas. The city of Los Angeles is planning to reduce the threshold for public notifications by its earthquake early warning app, but officials say it was in the works before Southern California's big earthquake Thursday. The Shake Alert LA app was designed to notify users of magnitudes of 5.0 or greater and when a separate intensity scale predicts potentially damaging shaking. Robert D. Groth of the U.S. Geological Survey says lowering the magnitude to 4.5 was already being worked on and had been discussed with LA as recently as a day before Thursday's magnitude 6.4 quake centered in the Mojave Desert. The shaking intensity levels predicted for LA were below damaging levels, so an alert was not triggered. Mayor's office spokeswoman Andrea Garcia also says the lower magnitude threshold has been in the planning stages and an update to the system is expected this month. A vigorous aftershock sequence is following the strongest earthquake to hit Southern California in 20 years. A magnitude 5.4 quake at 4:07 a.m. Friday is so. Seismologists had said there was an 80% probability of an aftershock of that strength. Thursday's big quake struck in the Mojave Desert, about 150 miles (240 kilometers) northeast of Los Angeles, near the town of Ridgecrest, which suffered damage to buildings and roads. The strongest earthquake in 20 years shook a large swath of Southern California and parts of Nevada on the July 4th holiday, rattling nerves and causing injuries and damage in a town near the epicenter, followed by a swarm of ongoing aftershocks. The 6.4 magnitude quake struck at 10:33 a.m. Thursday in the Kern County Fire Chief David Witt says multiple injuries and 2 house fires were reported in the town of 28,000. Emergency crews, Witt says, 15 patients were evacuated from the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital as a precaution and out of concern for aftershocks.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,